Transcendentalism Project by Abby, Nicolina, and Gabe.
This portion of my poem really is an introduction, much like the wither midst falling dew, just to kind of set things up. So this poem is inspired by and based off of To a Waterfowl by Bryant. So this first stanza: when any living being may take a gander at the sky, there's always one true constant. The light of the sun shines down upon us. Its light shines all day. So what I did here was really just introduce my poem, speak as to nature, the sun itself, and how it's observed by people, and I also said take a gander at the sky, which is kind of an unintentional pun because it's based on To a Waterfowl, and a gander is a kind of waterfowl. Anyway, though, this just really works as an introduction to the theme of nature, observing higher power, and that reminds me at least of intuition and people's instincts to just really look at nature. And this doesn't really get deep into any of the traits of transcendentalism, but it works as an introduction to show kind of what the poem's about. So the second stanza states that the sun, it moves across the sky, guided by the forces of the universe. So this is that divine power that guides everything that's very frequently mentioned in To a Waterfowl, when Bryant goes into detail talking about the course that it may take and how the bird itself is lone wandering but not lost. I then included, until it eventually sinks with impermanence out of the view of the beings in our location. However, its light is still shown in reflection by the moon. So that last portion of the poem, to me, I believe, is the most important, and I think it really talks about the oversoul and how, although it may appear as if the sun is dying, it still, in a sense, is reincarnated, or its energy is reallocated into moonlight. And I think that's a really important line because it shows how later on people in the same way go through the same thing, in the sense that although you may not see it, it still lives on, just like people's souls in the oversoul. Now, a very important portion of this stanza to remember, in my opinion, is the sheer simplicity that gazing at the sun may have, although it is looked at so in depth. So the next portion of the poem states, the astronomer may gaze at that bright star being the sun, and the fact that an astronomer is gazing at it and trying to understand it is just like the fowler in the poem To a Waterfowl, in which Bryant states, vainly the fowler's eye might mark thy distant flight to do thee wrong, so on and so forth. So I say how they try to pinpoint its path, which they can succeed in doing. And I also wrote that scientists understand its mechanics. So yes, I am acknowledging that science understands the sun, because it does. However, the ancient wonder, the ancient mystery, and that strange intuition to look up at the sun itself is still not understood by anyone. That's an ancient power that transcends humanity, that has transcended really all of recorded society, and that sheer wonder, just as that, glowing ball of gas in the sky, I believe has very transcendental nature, because it persists over everything, and its just ancient majesty still isn't fully understood, and its actual true creation. So the sun isn't actually guided, as I'm sure you're well aware. The Earth is what's moving. Okay, we know that the universe is, rather the solar system is heliocentric. However, the way that the sun appears to move across the sky is a form of guiding to the naked eye and people before we really had that science that, Galileo brought to us in the 1500s or so. And I also have that, although it may seem to die, it lives on in some form until it is reborn in the dawn. Now, this is just like the moonlight thing, in the sense that the sun's rays are always persisting, always shining upon us, in the same sense that the essence of life is always shining upon people. I believe it is the power of the universe and the oversoul that keeps this energy persistent. So, this final stanza states, in a similar fashion, we will be guided as the sun is. So now I'm really writing out the actual tie-in itself as to how we are guided by that ancient force in the same way that the sun is, just like how the waterfowl is guided, and just how all of humanity is guided by this oversoul power, this ancient, just pure energy. Now, me saying we will carry on and illuminate those around us actually goes into showing the power that individuals have. So that's, that power, the individual trait, and essential goodness, because all humans have this illuminating light that comes from the oversoul. Although it may be corrupted, its essential goodness is still there. I also wrote, and even when we've been gone for so long, our moonlight persists, and that's how this poem closes. Now, the reason I wrote this is because I'm saying that just how the sun reflects off the moon and then is moonlight, and that exists even when you think the sun is dead, Even when you think people are dead, their soul, their being, everything still lives on.
I chose to do Fight Song by Rachel Platten, and in the first stanza it says, like a small boat on the ocean, sending big waves into motion. This shows personification because it represents the abstract quality in human. Like how a single word can make a heart open, shows simile because it is comparing two unlike things using the words like and as. I might only have one match, but I can make an explosion. And all those things I didn't say, wrecking balls inside my brain, I will scream them loud tonight. I might and I will show refrain, which is a phrase of a verse that reoccurs in intervals. Wrecking balls inside my brain shows hyperbole and metaphor. A hyperbole is an exaggerated statement or claim that is not meant to be taken literally, while a metaphor is a part of a speech in which a word or a phrase is applied to an object or action to which it is not literally applicable. Can you hear my voice this time shows a rhetorical question, which is a question that is asked to elicit an actual response, but to make an impact or call to attention to something. This is my fight song, take back my life song, prove I'm alright song. This shows anaphora, which is the repetition of a word or a phrase. It repeats the word song 3 times. It also shows litotes, which is ironical understatement in which an affirmative is expressed by the negative of its contrary. I'm chasing sleep is a metaphor because it is a part of a speech in which the word or phrase is applied to an object in action which is not literally. And it's been 2 years, I miss my home, shows pathos, emotion, a quality that evokes pity or sadness. But there's a fire burning in my bones, shows metaphor, which is a part of a speech in which a word or a phrase is applied to an object or action to which it is literally not applicable. This song addresses the important social issues, and that is how youth and adults do not believe in themselves and have confidence in what they do. It empowers us to keep fighting for what we believe in and never to give up on ourselves. The next song I did is Counting Stars by One Republic, and our first stanza will be, said no more counting dollars, we'll be counting stars. This is a metaphor, which is a part of a speech in which a word or phrase is applied to an object or action to which it is not literally applicable. Like a swinging vine is a simile, which is a comparison of two things that may or may not be alike, using the words as or like. Old, but I'm not that old, young, but I'm not that bold, and I don't think the world is sold, I'm just doing what we're told, is a good example of rhyme, which is when endings of words sound alike. I could lie, could lie, could lie. Everything that kills me makes me feel alive. Lately I've been losing sleep. This shows irony, and it says opposite of what you mean. It also shows alliteration, which is the repetition of a constant sound of the beginning of the neighboring words. The meaning behind counting stars is that rather than concentrating on material matters, it's preferable to enjoy what's out in the natural world. Emerson's quote is, "Nature wears the color of the spirit," and Sean Ashmore's is that style is a reflection of your attitude and personality. Emerson's quote means that nature feels what you feel, but in general it is just beautiful. Then Sean Ashmore's quote is basically saying that what you wear, your own personal style, reflects on what your attitude is and personality. Together these connect because they both say that based on your reflection you come off a certain way like nature and style. Emerson's quote is, "No man yet knows what it is, nor can, till the person has exhibited it." Rosalia de Castro's quote is, "I see my path, but I don't know where it leads. Not knowing where I'm going is what inspires me to travel it." Emerson's quote basically means that a person does not know what it wants and can't know until they experience it, while Rosalia's quote means that she knows what she wants, but does not know what will happen from there. That makes her more inspired. These two quotes are different since Emerson does not know what is going to happen, while Rosalia does, and gets motivated to know, but not necessarily where it leads her to. Thoreau's quote is, "Let everyone mind his own business and endeavor to be what he is made," while the other quote is, "Keep your attention focused entirely on what is truly your concern, and to be clear that what belongs to others is their business and not yours." Thoreau's quote means that everyone should mind their own business and stop living off of others' experiences in life. And then the other one says that you should focus on yourself and what concerns you and know what other people's lives are not your business. These two quotes are so much alike since they both have the exact same meaning, which is you do you and let others do their thing. Thoreau said, "I come to love my rose, my beans through so many more than I wanted," while Channel Iman said, "Accept yourself, love yourself." I understood Thoreau's quote as basically loving what you are and have, even though you sometimes wish for more. Then Chanel's quote means, "Accept who you are and what you are and love it." These two quotes are the same in the sense that you should love what you already have, that you can't change, and just accept it.
Essential good. Essential good is doing things out of the goodness of your heart purely with no evil, similar to a child. In the picture, the person is opening the door for the elderly person, and on the other side, the children are playing at the park. Simplicity. Simplicity is sitting back and not focusing on our phones or gossip or anything else. It's looking up at the sky and watching the clouds or watching birds. In the picture, the person is just looking around, taking in nature. Nonconformity. Unlike rebelling, which is doing things purposely against the majority, nonconformity is doing what you want. Nonconformists sometimes follow the majority if that's what they think is right. In the picture, there are two different paths that the person can take: their own opinion or the majority. Their opinion isn't always the majority. Oversoul. Bathtub of goo. The concept that when we are being made, we are scooped out of this bathtub of goo, and when we die, we are put back in. It is the idea that we are all connected and contribute to one another. In the picture, there are two people, and one is scooping things out, birthing people, and then the other one is pouring the goo back in because they are contributing to the people that are going to be born. Intuition. Intuition is that little voice in your head that says, "Wait, this doesn't feel right." Similar to nonconformity, you don't always follow majority if you don't think that's right. In the picture, the person is thinking about going through the door, but they decide not to because they feel weird about the other side. Strength of the individual. Idiot and savant. Being able to know and acknowledge your strengths and weaknesses. In the picture, the person knows that they're good at sports, but they're bad at math and they know that they need to get help. I made this poster initially with the intent to make it super intricate with pop-out things in 3D. I finished that poster and it looked horrible, so I ripped it up in rage to let out anger and moved on to my current poster. I would rather have a good-looking, simple poster than a fancy, crappy-looking one. I taped two white copy paper together and used my fancy Amazon Sharpies to draw the stick figure examples. I chose to do stick figures because if you've ever seen those cute whiteboard drawings that look simple but good, hence the white paper. I used the stick figures to look the same, but they took on different roles. An example of this was in the oversoul part of the poster was the little chef guy who was scooping the goo with their ladle. I chose to do the chefs instead of a godly figure because my interpretation of Transcendentalism is they might not be very religious due to the belief in themselves rather than a god.